Only then can I feel your heartbeat. Till something's not right. Together I see you and me, always and all time. But not everyone would agree.
You are listening to Cracking the Rich Code with Miss Marilee, your insiders club from authors and entrepreneurs across the country, giving us their best to help us crack the rich code. And now, here is Miss Marilee.
Welcome everyone to Cracking the Rich Code. I am Miss Marilee. Today I have another awesome co-author. Dr. Stephen Greene is joining me today, and I'm hoping that he's not experiencing technical difficulties. Sometimes that happens and, my guest can't get on. So I'm going to go ahead and hope that he does. And if not, we might have to reschedule the show. So let me tell you a little bit about him. Dr. Greene is a lifelong educator and trainer. His parents were teachers, so he was raised with a strong passion for helping others and providing service with the community. He followed his family business and earned a state teaching certification. He has held faculty positions at the middle school, high school, and university levels. In 1995, he established Make the Grade, an educational consulting and training company. Make the Grade has two divisions. The Academic Support Division provides tutoring and academic consulting services for family and students. And this enables Make the Grade students to learn both essential academic information regarding their subject matters or areas of test preparation, but also he taught them to fish by teaching his students life skills like lifetime management and information management and how to establish a daily success strategy. These ideas crystallized with the publication of his best-selling book, Maximum Education, in 2015. Make the Grades Entrepreneurs Academy supports entrepreneurs and other business people on their journey to success, including workshops like the 5 Structures of Success. He continues to work with students all over the world, virtually and through private coaching, workshops, and speaking engagements, as well as live in his office based in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Dr. Greene enjoys family, travel, cycling, vegetarian cooking, gardening, music, and being outdoors. All right, well, right about now, I would be introducing Dr. Stephen Greene. And I thought that it was going to be all right. He was going to talk about the 5 structures of success. That is his chapter in book number 7 of Cracking the Rich Code. We're actually we are putting together book number 9. That's where we're at right now. So it's really amazing how many books we have come out with. And I say we because I am lucky enough to sit in this seat and I get to meet all of our co-authors, interview them and bring them to you and get to know them personally, to share their voice behind the words in their chapters. Cracking the Rich Code gathers entrepreneurs, from around the country, brings them together, and just to give us a little of their expertise in these chapters. And I tell you, I have met amazing people. I highly recommend. If you haven't, purchased any of the books, get one. Just get one. I happen to be in book 1 and 4, but they're all really good. And I have really aligned with many of the co-authors, and now we're coming out with a community site, which is about to launch like any day now. And that community site I'm really excited about because it's not like Facebook. It's easy to post on and to read and navigate the site, but there's no nonsense. So nobody's posting, pictures of their pets and no memes and no, videos of silly things and all that. It's nothing but content driven from all of these experts. And that's it. So whatever it is you're looking for, whatever industry you're in, I'm telling you, there's a co-author in there who's in that industry who can get you there, help you, just navigate and cut through a lot of the learning curve. I know that it's done that for me. I've it just some of these chapters are just like, holy wow. I think I remember Dr. Yvonne Oswald. She like laid it out step by step. Like she didn't even hold back. It was a really cool chapter because she, tells you where to go to get your domain. I mean, like the basics for any entrepreneur. And I personally, it was like I really appreciated it because I remember going through all that, going, "Oh my God, now what do I have to do? Now what do I have to do?" And you're juggling all these different balls, and well, this is interesting. I don't know and yeah. Anyway, so her chapter, really made an impact, and then this one here with Dr. Stephen Greene, he talks about the 5 structures of success. And in his chapter, the 5 structures, I'm just going to keep going until he shows up, and maybe he will, maybe he won't. I'm not really sure where he's at or what the problem is. And I apologize because normally I would have more communication than this. But, life goes on. Okay, so the 5 structures of success are, he says, physical, time, accountability, professional, and support. All right. And of course, I would like to have him here to explain his chapter. But reading through it, he's saying that, it's very important to have oh, hey, let me tell you this. He says this chapter is about accelerating your journey to success. Financial freedom and independence can be elusive and complicated to achieve without structure. And that is so true, especially for entrepreneurs, because, when you're trying to make that jump, right, from being an employee, living in the corporate world to, I'm going to do this on my own. And you're like, where do I even begin? What do I need? And there's so much information out there. It's like, do I need a book? Do I have to write something? How long is that going to take me to do that? When will I be the quote unquote expert? When will I be good enough? When will I have earned that respect? And it's really, really difficult. And then, not to mention the technical difficulties, like, even like today, whatever the miscommunication or, the faux pas that happen and things start over and you're like, well, I messed that up. You have to not be afraid. Don't be afraid to mess things up because we're all just doing the best that we can with what we've got. And, most people are forgiving, if they understand you, if they've seen your work, if they follow you and stuff. It's like, cut me a break. We're all just human. Just trying to make the world a better place, right? And sometimes, everybody's trying to make the world a better place. So when we're thinking about these companies who are trying to help us as entrepreneurs. Here, let me help you with your podcast. Here, let me help you stream it. Here, let me help you, distribute it. Let me help you edit it. Let me help you in the end. But they're competing. And as an entrepreneur, you're just like, oh, where do I go? What do I do? What's better? And I know myself, I have changed platforms so many times. And it's only because, you're trying to find that place called home. And it's like, where can I actually get comfortable and know that where I'm sitting is going to keep delivering, something really good, something really, really good and I can stay here. And for me, what's really big is integrity, really big. Like, what do you believe in when you're delivering your platform? And I've had to change because just my values didn't align. And so now with Fireside, I'm really, really enjoying it. So everybody who's on Fireside, or if you're new, come on over and check out everybody here. I mean, I feel that this platform is really doing their best to give us something solid, something that we can be proud of, something we can call home. It's like they know what we need and they're going to deliver. I love that. And that's why I'm hosting Cracking the Rich Code here. And right now it's a little bit of work for me. It's like, I have to, I got to do a little bit more technical things than I want to do. I'm more comfortable being, the show. And, it is what it is. And so for all you, entrepreneurs who are just starting, and even if you're not just starting, it takes years to I'd finally go, okay, this is right. This feels right. Because let's think about the components. When Dr. Stephen Green is talking about these pillars of success, I'm thinking, there's who you are. Who are you, number one, and what do you stand for? If you don't have clarity on who you are and what you stand for, it's like, well, who cares about the technical stuff? And, how are you going to write a book? You can go get a domain, but what are you going to deliver? There's so much of you, the entrepreneur that needs to be polished in what it is you want to deliver. And let me tell you this, never, never, never worry about your competition. If you really have a heart for, and I'm not even going to say being an entrepreneur, it's like a heart to make the world a better place. It's not just about showing up to a job and getting a paycheck. It's about you have a message. You have a heart for people and you want to stand up. Everybody wants that. So you have to know that they're waiting for you. What do you have to say? And Mark and Calvin, thank you so much for being here with me. I appreciate you. And, you're welcome to come up and join me since Dr. Greene is not here yet. I'm not sure what happened. But, we're just going to roll with it. I'm going to take this opportunity to, just kind of bounce off what he's talking about. Thank you. And, just kind of go with the flow because I am an entrepreneur and I understand, what he's talking about and the struggles of it. And, I have to say this too. You know how we talk about our fears? One of the things that I have to stress is that you cannot be afraid to pull back. Don't ever be afraid to pull back, regroup, and look at yourself in the mirror and say, am I happy? Is this what I'm doing? Or am I getting sucked into the expectations of whatever industry that I'm trying to, contribute to? Don't get sucked in. Don't get sucked into the platforms, to the social media, presence, to the popularity and the likes and all that. Don't get sucked in. That's all an illusion. You want real, healthy relationships. And that's when you're really going to know your value. When you're talking to people, they respect you, they come to you, and they want answers. Because everybody can give you, a like, they can scroll and go, oh, I see you. I'm just going to tell you I see you. Or maybe trying to piggyback on, on where you're at. That's all out there. But for each of us, you really have to go, you know what? I don't have to post today. I don't have to show up. I don't have to do a video. I don't have to do an email. I don't have to do a newsletter. I don't have to do anything. I don't have to. What's most important is that I get grounded and remember who I am and what I'm delivering. Because if you stray from that and your mind takes over and you get caught up in the, all the things that you have to do, what you feel that you're expected to do, you're going to burn out. You're going to burn out. And that's not what life is all about. You don't want to burn out. You want to flourish. You want to become more. You want your heart to be full, overflowing. So you don't have a choice but to deliver to somebody. Even if nobody's listening, it's like you got to put it out there. And that's where your post comes in your newsletter and all this. It's thank you. It's really about each one of us enjoying our time here. We don't know how much time we have. So even in an entrepreneur, you think that you're not working for a corporation following the dollar. No, you want the freedom. You want the time freedom. You want to be able to go out there and walk in nature and, be with your family and spend time with your dog, be on the beach. You want time. And to be an entrepreneur feels like you're going to own your time. But you know what? It doesn't work like that if you're afraid to pull back and remember who you are. Because then you're on 24/7. 24/7, not enough time in the day. You're constantly contributing to your business. You're having to, it's like everything becomes a crystal ball. And what I mean by that is, there's crystal balls and there's rubber balls, right? Some things aren't that important. So you let them bounce. It's okay. But then oh, wait, Dr. Steven, is that you? Because I'm sitting here rambling. Yes, my goodness. Come up here. Let me see here. Oh, Doctor, here we go. Look at that. Look at that. I talked long enough. I did my whole thing. Are you here?
I think I am. I got to tell you, this is the most complicated platform I've ever seen in my life, but I think I finally figured it out after 14 and a half minutes, but it's okay. I could hear you were saying it. It sounded great.
Okay.
I just couldn't figure out how to get into it.
You know what? And I appreciate it. I just thought, you know what? I'm going to hold the space. And this is, I just followed my gut on this one because normally.
That's all right. Listen, let's make this a lesson.
Okay.
Being an entrepreneur, you could wake up and have your whole day planned out. And guess what? It could go completely south by 8 o'clock in the morning.
That's right.
Depending what time you get up, maybe 6 if you get up too early. But I really don't like to use the word pivot because it got so overused the last 2 years. But I like to use the word adapt. We need to be able to adapt, and we need to be able to deal with what's coming at us. So maybe there's a lesson in everything, right, Marilee? So
absolutely. Well, I was going to say I normally don't just hold the line open. I don't. If my co-author doesn't show up before showtime without a call,
I was really trying. I don't want to be negative. I tried.
Yeah.
I really did. But now I think I kind of figured it out. Now you got to hold something down. Doesn't matter. Matter. More of a podcast. I like being in front of a computer, but it's all cool. So
welcome.
Yeah. Where do you want to start? What do you want to talk about?
Well, first of all, I just want to say welcome to the Cracking the Rich Co family.
I appreciate that. Thank you. It's the old Groucho Marx joke. I wouldn't want to be a club that wanted me to be a member. No, seriously, there is a lot, capital LOT, a lot of talent in this group. You just look at the list of authors and the titles of what they're doing and all that jazz. I mean, it's really impressive. It's one of the reasons I wanted to be involved. I want to be in the club, and not just as a contributor, but as a peer.
Yeah.
As somebody who can learn from others, really most importantly. The day you think you learned everything is really a sad day. I mean, the day you think you learned everything, you don't realize how much you don't know. So,
right.
In fact, I'll go as far as to say 80%, maybe even 90% of what's in my chapter are based on things I had to learn either for myself as I structured my business and it evolved, or working with my clients, kind of really a blend. And a lot of times I field tested techniques on myself, being an entrepreneur as well, coaching entrepreneurs, because I want to make sure they're going to work. I don't want my clients to be my guinea pigs. Although sometimes you got to do what's best for them as well. But that's kind of how it all came together. So,
all right. Well, let's talk about the 5 structures of success. What did you come up with?
What I realized about 6 years ago was, and the way I define it, and I'm sure you could slice this differently, there are 5 components within an organization or a business or an entrepreneurship that really have to align in order to get maximal output. I'm not saying you can't be successful with a deficiency in any one of these or maybe in a few. So I define them and in no particular order. Number 1, a physical structure. You cannot be effective going into a coffee shop with all kinds of noise around you, all kinds of stuff all over the place, people interrupting you every 10 minutes. You got to have a place where you can really just get work done in a long-term focus situation. You got to have your technology in place. So there's a physical component to this where you can be productive for a sustained amount of time. Number 2 is there's a time management component.
Okay, wait. Let's back up. So let's get some real clarity on that physical space that you're talking about. So because when I read it first, and I thought about physical, I'm thinking about my physical body.
Yeah, a lot of people tell me that. This is not a workout program. I mean, listen, you need to be physically healthy. I'm an advocate for that. But what I'm specifically suggesting is you need to have a dedicated space, either in your house, your office, your co-working space, wherever you're going to get stuff done that is set up for you to be successful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, your
And
garage, something.
yeah, wherever it is. I mean, look, people make gazillion dollars in their basement.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't matter where it is. But what you can't do is every time you go in, oh, I can't find my mouse. So, oh, I was going to do a podcast, but I couldn't find the adapter for my microphone to plug it into my phone.
Right.
Well, I'm just telling you stories that I've heard over and over. Where did I put that contract I printed out from that person who I was supposed to start coaching yesterday? You need to have an organization that physically enables you to work to your best ability. And I'm not saying you got to have $100,000 office with marble floors, but I'm saying it has to be functional and it has to be something where you can be productive and maybe even quiet. Like if you're going to do podcasting and work online all day, you can't have people beeping horns and screaming and yelling down the hall all the time.
And
So
barking.
that's the first one.
Guilty.
Well, but and listen, this is not an idealized suggestion either. This is stuff that we understand you have limitations, right? But these are goals. No, so number one is a physical location where you can be productive. Number two is a time management component. Now, as an aside, whenever I poll people, when I onboard a client, actually when I interview them to be a client, I ask them all these questions. Do you have a structure or do you have a physical location where you're most productive? Well, yeah, I'm at my kitchen table and my kids are screaming and yelling and my husband wants dinner and the dog's barking to go out. But yeah, it's working great for me.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Second thing, how's your time management? Well, that's usually the biggest need I find people have
Mm-hmm.
or the biggest deficiency. But time management is fairly self-evident. You have to block out your time. There are so many distractions when you're a solopreneur.
Mm-hmm.
I know people, I worked 6 hours today. Cool. Let me see your journal. Oh, look, it looks like you checked your email 4 out of 6 hours. How many emails are you getting? Because
So
people
true.
feel if they do something that's active, that they're being productive, and they're not really the same thing.
Right.
So time management is a big piece. Number three would be accountability. And I don't think this is the same order I did them in the book, but it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
You need somebody that's going to hold you accountable on a gazillion levels. Getting your work done financially, goal setting, masterminding, coaching. I'm not saying you got to hire a coach. You don't have to pay a coach. But you want people that are going to keep you pushing forward. Often it's a spouse or kids. But I really believe accountability is a tremendous driver.
So I agree. But I totally feel that when you know who you are and you know the message that you want to deliver, it's easier to hold yourself accountable
No,
because, right?
absolutely. Yes.
Yeah. So
And everything I'm talking about here is a continuum. There's no such thing as either zero accountability or complete accountability. There's middle ground, there's in betweens and stuff. But yeah, well, look, here's the thing. Okay, Marley, I'll give you an example. I just wrote a chapter in a book, right?
right.
We had a deadline, which was December 15th. That was the original deadline that Jim gave everybody.
Right.
Okay, I had mine done December 13th. Well, I think there's 20 chapters in this book.
Mm-hmm.
We get an email December 15th. Well, we got a few people aren't able to meet the deadline. We're going to extend it to December 31st.
Mm-hmm.
I'm thinking, okay, well, if I'd known that, maybe I would have set my timetable differently. So it kind of works on both ends. Now, I'm not knocking it. People do what they need to do. And the management people do what they need to do to manage. But, I was trying to be accountable to the organizers of this project
Mm-hmm.
to keep them on time. Because if one person of a team of 10 people isn't in line, it can hold back all 10.
Right.
You see?
Mm-hmm.
So this is what happened. Now we're into March and the book's just coming out.
Mm-hmm.
And the original publishing date was supposed to be January 15th. Now, it's great information. It's going to get out there and it doesn't really matter in the giantest scheme of life. But this is what I mean by accountability. It goes in both directions. It's people holding you accountable, but maybe even more importantly, you being accountable to others,
Well,
your
here's
clients.
how I see that though, because I have personal experience here.
Right.
I totally understand, the accountability factor, definitely. However, there's something called divine timing.
Yeah.
And I know with my own book, The Game, we've been waiting for this book to come out forever. People are like, Marilee, when? And it's like, gosh, I don't know. It is,
Right.
and it's not because it's not done. It's literally because there have been hurdles that were beyond my control.
Hmm.
And I'm the only one in the book. It's my book. So that I'm not really, waiting for other people other than publishers, going through this editing process, people and it just, things happen. And I totally believe in divine timing.
Mm-hmm. I don't disagree with you. And remember, everything, I work on an assumption, for good or bad, that when I coach somebody, they're going to do 60 to 70% of what they say they're going to do. um, and I don't mean that in a mean way. I mean that just in a practical, this is how life is way. So I could be finishing up a coaching session and say, okay, Michael, between today and our next lesson, you're going to do bang, 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 bang. Or today in our next session. Oh, yeah, I'm on it. I'm fired up. I'm ready. Nothing's going to get in my way. Well, next Wednesday comes around. Hey, how you doing? Let's go over what you're going to bring to the table today. Well, I had a little problem in my this, and I couldn't really get to my goal setting, and so on and so on. Listen, this is not something to beat yourself up about. And you're right. Sometimes there are bigger fish to fry, and sometimes you got to prioritize. And to a degree, this chapter I wrote is idealized. But I think on a certain level, if you don't idealize it starts to fall through the cracks because it becomes unimportant to people.
Mm-hmm.
So my mission with this particular chapter, and there's a workshop I run with you, it's based on a workshop I do, is to shoot for the highest level you can. And if your fallback's 80% better than you were, you're still better off than you were. And I think accountability is probably as good an example of that as any of the other ones. So,
I'm really glad to hear that you're teaching the accountability part,
yeah, well,
because for
what else am I going to do all day? I didn't make enough money selling the book yet.
well, you know what? Because on the flip side, like for me, it's like I
Mhm.
don't take people who aren't accountable. I'm not interested. I'm just not interested. You know what I mean? It's like you need to be an adult about what you want,
Well, that's true. That is
right?
true.
And then when you're ready, you come to me.
Yeah, but let's just say you hired a coach.
Okay.
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 I got to think you did. Most of us have, right? And maybe multiple. And you had planned your week to go to your coach 11 o'clock Thursday or whatever. And you planned your week around it. You did your work, pre-work. You got yourself all ready. And, well, all right, let's even give another example. Let's give another example.
Okay.
You got a live event on Fireside.
Okay.
And you're expecting a live guest to show up at 1 o'clock.
Mm-hmm.
And it's 1:10. And you're like, where the F is my guest?
Mm-hmm.
Now, not that would ever happen.
It's never happened. No.
This is a completely hypothetical situation. Now you're thinking all kinds of negative things. This guy's not responsible. This person isn't making this important in their life. This person didn't pay attention when we scheduled it. We all jump to conclusions, right? And I'm not saying you would be wrong to do that. And it wasn't well intentioned. You'll see. I actually sent you like 3 or 4 emails saying, "Help! I don't know how to get in."
Really?
But,
I kept watching for them. That's interesting.
maybe I don't know. We'll figure it out later.
Okay.
I did. I swear I did. I swear.
Okay.
I swear on my lunch. I haven't got a chance to eat yet. I did.
Okay.
Anyway, but the bottom line is that's the level of accountability I'm talking about. I'm not talking about a huge like David and Goliath kind of thing. I'm talking about on the trust building level,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm talking about on the relationship level with your clients, with your coworkers, with your suppliers, with your referral partners, right? So, if somebody comes to me and says, hey, Steve, I got a client. I think they really need to be coached up and I think you can help them. And I'm like, great, thanks for the referral. Well, if I do a lousy job, that reflects on my person who referred me just as well, just as
Sure.
much,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
So I feel responsibility. You could maybe substitute the word responsibility for accountability. I just like accountability better. I feel a responsibility / accountability to the person who referred me to do my best work with the person they referred to me, because that's a reflection on that person as well.
Mm-hmm.
That's the level I'm coming at this with. And I think that's reflected in the chapter, I think. Anyway,
Mm-hmm.
the fourth one, you ready?
I'm ready.
Operational. And this does not mean like going to surgery.
Okay, but wait a minute. It says professional.
Oh, professional operations.
Okay.
Yeah.
Throw me off. Okay.
No,
Good.
you're right, because I use different terms sometimes in a live workshop. So professional standards. Okay.
Yeah.
I think this is very important for an entrepreneur. You are your brand.
Yes.
You are your brand. Let's agree on that, right?
Yep.
If you are a coach, you're a provider, you're whatever you're going to do, you are only as good to some degree as your last job and what people know that you can do. And it's up to you to establish professional standards, professional operational standards of what you do. You have to decide what the level of quality is that you are going to deliver. And if you're not going to hold yourself to that standard, the people hiring you don't necessarily know what that is. But if you're going to go out there and say, yeah, I am the best operations and success coach there is in North America, you better be able to back that up, right?
Right.
You have to hold yourself to that standard of success. Well, if you don't know what that standard of success is, how are you going to hold yourself to it? So
Right.
I look at this a little bit like goal setting. Everybody knows. Well, I don't know if everybody knows. It is generally accepted that if people who write goals down achieve them 3.95 times more often than people that just say them. There's a power in the writing of them, and there's a power in the reading of it, reinforced, like Napoleon Hill kind of stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think it's the same mindset with operations. I'm a one-person solo gig. I've been doing this 27 years. Do I need a 47-page operations manual sitting in a cabinet in my office here? I'm the only one that would ever read it.
Mm-hmm.
But I wrote it and I update it about twice a year because it's the standard I hold myself to.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not going to say I'm not going to say I'm perfect. There's jobs I feel I could do better, and there's occasionally sometimes I really wish I had taken that little bit of different direction when I was counseling somebody. But I think that happens to everybody who's a coach times. But I know what I believe my idealized target is, and that's in writing, on paper, in a notebook, available, and I can hand it to somebody, or when I could you meet with somebody, and it's in a digital format on my site. Here's my professional standards. When you engage with me, this is what you can expect because I expect this of myself. But that's what I define as structure 4.
Mm-hmm. That's good.
And I want to say it's the one that people resist doing and don't like doing the most.
Mm-hmm.
Because you got to dig deep a little bit, and you got to really question what you can commit to.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it's a scary thing. I mean, forget relationship commitment. Committing to yourself isn't so easy either. Think about that.
Well, definitely. Most definitely. And the point about writing it down means that you have made a commitment to yourself, and that's why people don't want to write down, because just you almost look like a failure, feel like a failure,
I would still maintain it's better to write it down and try to commit to it and come up short than not write it down at all and not have any idea what your standard is.
Right. Exactly.
It's like I want to lose some weight versus by June 1st, I want to lose 12 pounds.
Okay.
Just even the way it comes across, the clarity of it, And by the way, I'm trying to lose 12 pounds by June 1st.
Yeah. Well,
so you and everybody listening to this can hold me accountable. You can email me, Steve, what's your weight now?
Okay. So you want to lose 12 pounds.
I'm not like grossly overweight. It's really more for I do triathlons, and the triathlon season for me starts in June, and I got to cut some weight so I'm not dying on the course. But yeah,
Right.
but anyway, but I think you get my point. Is a clear, smart goal. We've all probably studied goals if you're into any level of person development. Is so much more effective than a vague sort of half promise to yourself.
Right. Well, okay. So in that example that you give about wanting to lose a 12 pounds and you write it down and say, I'm going to lose 12 pounds. Well, I mean, just to write it down and say, I'm going to lose 12 pounds, like how? How are you going to do that?
Well, that's next level. Yeah. Well, no,
You know?
but I mean, I have a personal plan I could share, but yeah,
You
but no,
know,
you're right. But it's the same thing with operations, right? Like, I want to. Is it good enough to say I want to deliver the best business coaching in the world?
Mhm.
It's not good enough to say that, because what does that mean, right?
Right.
So
You're,
it's like I want to. So how am I going to do that? What's my process? What's my procedure? What's my operational stuff?
well,
That's what I mean when I say operations.
but none of those questions can be answered if you don't know who you are.
Well, yes,
Right.
you're absolutely right. And this is why it doesn't happen in a 1 hour meeting. When I coach somebody, it's typically about a 12-week engagement. It doesn't have to be, but because it takes some time to get these things out there, refine them, let them sit a little bit, let them percolate, revisit them, come
Mhm.
back around to them when you need to. But the point is a clarity of thought. That's really what a lot of my things I'm espousing here really try to push to. And I'm sorry if this is this getting too heavy here. Like, do we want to be lighter? Like,
No, no, not at
you
all.
always sound. I love your voice. I mean, you sound like so bubbly and happy, and I don't want to be like like the whole vibe down here. But uh,
No, you're making good points, and the whole point of these interviews are not only to just showcase and highlight who you are, but to really give, value to our listeners as to, something to think about.
yeah,
And for me, it's like something to think about is even though all this is great information, at the
Mhm.
root of it, we have to know who we are.
Yeah, I agree with you, and I would extend it and say not just who you are, but what your role is in terms of interfacing with clients. I mean, I'm talking as an entrepreneur. What is your role on interfacing with clients? What do you really provide them with? You know,
Mm-hmm.
and how you going to do it, and how can you kind of be your true self doing that? I mean, that's a little cliche-ish, as far as a term, but it's really true.
Okay, so for those who just tuned in, hi Wendy and Stephanie, welcome. You know, let's go over it real quick. The five structures of success are physical. You've got to have a place to work with the stuff that you need.
Correct. Check. That's number one.
Okay, so that means like if you're going to do videos, you got to have the lighting and you got to have your microphone and you got to have quiet time. Closed door, just set up right. Right. And
Yeah.
if you don't have, a big space, you can definitely have a closet or something where you can just put up like a green sheet or something and then put it on Zoom and get your background going and just get out there and do it. And don't worry about perfection. Is that right or wrong? Are you agreeing or no?
Yes.
It's
Yeah. I'm
okay to
just.
disagree. Just
I
correct me.
like it. Honestly, I like it better when you say it than when I do.
Okay.
No. It is true. It's all about not wasting time. Going into like, oh, how am I going to get my work? Oh, where's my this? Where's my that? It's you got to have it there, ready and set up. It's hard to get lighting set up. If you do video, it's hard. Once
It
you
is
get it
hard.
right, you don't want to touch it. It's a pain in the rump getting
Oh
lighting.
man. Yeah.
I mean, I've done it. It stinks. I mean, to do it, it's a pain in the butt. And you got to do like sample camera work, and then you got to look.
Yeah. Yeah. And when you're just starting out, it's like you have to know everybody listening. You have to know that everybody's going, well, I got to do my own wardrobe. I got to do my own hair and makeup. I got to do my own lighting. I got to do my own editing. And I have to remember what the heck I'm going to talk about. There's all kinds of, you're you're
But
wearing so many hats when you are, delivering.
that structure one is having all that for your business in place.
Yeah.
And organized so that when you decide it's work time, because we haven't even gotten into the idea of if you work in your house, having boundaries, but when it's work time, you have got everything you need where you need to do it and how to do it so you can be effective and not waste time setting everything up.
Right.
That's my premise.
Right. Right.
Number
Okay.
2 is
Okay. So the next one is time.
management.
Making sure you block out some time for your business. Right.
Time management. Yeah, time efficiency, time management, huge.
You know what helped me a lot is a whiteboard. So I do have a calendar, and not everybody, excuse me. Some people have Calendly and, other things like that. But an actual whiteboard for me, I just put out, Sunday through Saturday on there and what I needed to do on each day, which show where I'm at, and then the days that I blocked out the whole thing. I just put a line down the whole thing. I'm not doing anything on this day. I don't do anything. I'm blocking it out. Don't bug me. And doing that gave me, like, I don't know, just so much freedom. Like all of a sudden I was like, oh, clarity. That's my day.
Well, because you know why? Whether
Mm,
you think about it or not, because now you have your functionality is the only thing you got to worry about, right?
Yep.
You know what your goal is, at least in terms of what you want to complete. Now you just got to go do it.
Well, you're right. But what happens is if you don't do that, it's not just about my goals. It's about what everybody else needs. And you're trying to be so accommodating because
Yeah.
everybody needs something from you that you realize, oh my God, I haven't had a moment to myself, for days in a row.
Mm-hmm. Well, welcome to an entrepreneur's life. But, yeah.
So that time structure is really important to keep your sanity, keep your focus, and keep your physical space ready and clean and organized.
Mhm.
So easily it can get just, I don't know, a mess so quickly if you're not
I think
maintaining.
in the sub chapter in the book about the time structure, I think the word efficiency was used 11 times. And I had a few editors look at it and they're like, you use the same word like 11 times in like 6 paragraphs. I'm like, yeah, but I can't really think of a better word for it.
Mm-hmm.
So I just go with it. If people don't like it, I used efficiency a lot. Maybe it'll convince them the efficiency is important.
That's right.
Yeah,
And plus,
but
yeah,
go
it's
ahead.
for you.
Yeah.
It's
Third one is my personal favorite.
accountability.
Yep.
Show up.
Really. Show up for yourself, show up
Yeah.
for others, and show up for people that count on you.
Right. Yeah. Show up for the life that you're trying to create.
Mhm.
Yeah. It's like, let's not just, think about what if and all that stuff. To actually show up in it. What are you going to do? Yeah. That's the first thing to me. I mean, that accountability is I have to show up because nobody's going to say, hey, why don't you do this? Hey, why don't you do that?
And you
Nobody
know what?
cares.
Let me add something here because basically exactly what your point is. If somebody hires you,
Uh-huh.
they don't care what happened. They don't care if your dog threw up. They don't care if you're sick. They don't care if your car's not working. They don't care if you got caught in the rain and your hair is all wet.
Right.
They expect to get the value that they paid for,
That's right.
and more so, they deserve it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's it. Like, I was a college professor for 12 years. And yeah, I didn't know, I had a regular life and, there was stuff going on. It wasn't always, rosy great. And when you walk in that classroom, people could care less what's going on in your personal life.
Right.
I mean, and there's no reason that they should.
Mm-hmm.
You're there to do your job, which is deliver the information in a way that they can understand it and that they can process it. And yeah, your boyfriend dumps you, girlfriend dumps you, your
Right.
ice cream fell on the sidewalk and melted. And yeah, whatever happened in your life is not relevant to that situation. I'm not saying you shouldn't deal with it when it's appropriate, but when you're in a situation where you are being counted on or accountable to do something, that's got to be your first priority.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Yeah.
Or it's a disservice to others. Absolutely.
I feel very strongly about that. Maybe too much, but I do.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of me. I'm a T crossing rule following kind of person.
Mm-hmm.
All my friends when I was in high school were going out drinking underage. I was always the one like, yeah, you really shouldn't be doing that.
Yeah.
Anyway,
No.
what was the next one? I lost track.
The next one is professional.
Professional standards. Yeah,
Mhm.
professional standards. Biggie. I think it's a biggie.
Yeah. Yes. Okay, let's talk about that. Professional standards.
As we say, you need to establish standards for yourself and for your business and what you are going to deliver, and you need to hold yourself to that. And if you communicate that to the world at large, you need to live up to that. It's just kind of like what I said a few minutes ago. You don't have the luxury of having an off day
Mm-hmm.
or having a half off day, And you can, I know people that kind of tank it. I coached this guy up, and I was kind of, on my phone half the time, texting people I was doing. I mean, that's not right.
No, it's not right. It makes them look
Bragging
really
about
bad.
that.
Plus, what I really want to stress here, what you're saying is when we're talking about professional standards are always for ourselves,
Yeah.
not for others.
Well, there are like if I'm I don't know, if I was a licensed clinical psychologist,
Uh-huh.
there are professional standards that go with that title, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or with that certification. Or if I was a chiropractor, I can't just go rogue and do whatever I want. But I'm talking as an entrepreneur when you're more or less defining what your deliverable service is, setting standards for yourself. And as I mentioned before, I have a 47-page, single-spaced document that I've created over 15 years that details every freaking thing that goes on in my office and in my business. It is painstakingly, excruciatingly hard to read by anybody else but me. But I wrote it as an exercise to drive home the point that this is how I want to conduct my business. And I think it's one of the reasons that I've been successful is because I set these standards and I hold myself to them. But like I said before, whenever I coach people on this, it's the one that they want to avoid the most / do the least, because it's not fun to do, and it's not exciting. Like there's nothing sexy about operating operational standards. But guarantee you, any corporation's got them 500 pages thick. Any big business has them because that's how they have to work. I mean, think about this. If I was a company, I had 10 salespeople. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And all 10 of them had a different way of selling. How's that going to work? Right. Like obviously people have individual differences of their personalities and so on, but how are people going to work together? Right.
Because
Like
you've got to have a standard.
that's my whole point. That is structure 4.
Right. And you know what? That's the same for love. So that's where equally yoked comes in. So when we're talking about entrepreneurs and the corporate life and having, that professional standards, like, well, we've got to write something down so everybody knows, look, we're in agreement, right? We're going to do this and we're not going to do that. And then everybody goes, okay, I understand.
Yeah.
Well,
No,
we should have the same for love.
pretty simple, really. Yeah. Look, being in business and being in a relationship have a lot of overlap. I
Oh,
mean,
yeah.
not relationship. I mean, like
No, it's all relationship. It's all
it is.
relationship.
Especially as an entrepreneur, because you're the only
Mhm.
point of contact.
Mm-hmm. It's all
You
relationship.
ready for the even more exciting structure 5?
Yes, please.
Structure 5 is support.
Okay.
And when I say support, this is what I mean. Anybody who's an entrepreneur, 100% at some point are going to need help.
Mhm.
I am not a web designer.
Right.
I could probably figure it out, but I knew I was going to need help with it. And I'm not a good social media marketer. In fact, I'm pretty weak at it because I'm old and social media wasn't something I grew up with. I'm like a Gen X or whatever person. But the point is, at some point, you're going to need support. It is much better to know who your go-to people are before you need them than when you need them. You do not want to be frantically looking for a dentist at 4 a.m. when you got a toothache. You want to know who your dentist is before that, just as a
But isn't
metaphor.
that ideal? I mean, that's ideal. Most of us can't operate like that because we're trying to, catch too many balls in the air.
It is gnarly, but so is everything else in this chapter. This is all what's our maximum.
Mm-hmm.
And if you can hit 60% of your maximum, it's better than 0% and not even having thought about it. So I get it. I agree with you. This is something that is not going to necessarily be something everybody's going to plug into at a pedal to the metal level. But
Yeah,
it
because
doesn't mean they can't. No, listen, I'm not saying you hire people. I'm saying if I need help with my website, I know who I'm going to go to. If I need help with legal, I know who I'm going to go to. If I need help with marketing, I know who I'm going to go to, or maybe multiple people I could go to. If my car gets in an accident, I know who I'm going to which body shop I'm taking it to. And I know it's people are probably listen, well, this guy's got a whole life figured out. Believe me, I got issues I got to deal with. But I'm saying you in business, you want to know where your support is as much as you can before you need it. That's my thesis here.
Well, okay. And I'm not, excuse me, I'm not disagreeing there, but I'm just saying as an entrepreneur, for me in the beginning, it's like, I didn't even know what I needed. You know what I mean? It would almost be like I didn't have any awareness of my own teeth. So why would I be looking for a dentist?
Well, because you're right, but as you engage and you start to go through the stages and you start to get past whatever rudiments into actually deliverables, some of these things become obvious, right? Like, look, do you like to do accounting?
No.
Here, let's have a show of hands. Who likes to do accounting? I see Stephanie's got a thumbs up.
That wasn't for that question.
Okay. Oh, Stephanie's got a thumbs down.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, right. So who likes to do accounting? So guess what I need about every, March or so when I'm preparing my taxes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I can't be sitting there with a shoe. Gone are the days where you show up at an account with a shoebox full of receipts. You got to deal with it throughout the year. And as an entrepreneur, what's one of our major missions is to make a living and to make money. And unfortunately, accounting and bookkeeping and taxes are a reality that come with that. So as much as you might ignore the fact initially that you might need professional accounting help, at some point you're going to have to probably engage that.
You know what, Steve? Stephanie wants to come up and ask you a question.
Yeah. Hey,
yeah? Cool.
She's got a great thumbs up. So let's,
all right. Let's get her up here.
Bring the whole crew.
You gotta love the thumbs up. It's a great thumbs up.
Oh, we got a pretty good crowd here. This is exciting.
Yes, we love
it. Thanks for having me. And Stephen, I've been enjoying this conversation. I think what's interesting, just you were making me think about something that I think I would categorize as this. Stephen, you gave the example of you don't want to be looking for a dentist when it's 4 o'clock in the morning. And I think what I'm hearing you say from an entrepreneur perspective is that it's about risk mitigation. And it's about how much risk in any given area are you willing to and are you able to take on? And for areas where that risk may present such a challenge for you, your business, your health, you need to sort of relook at your priority list relative to being an entrepreneur, relative to being a human being in the world. And if you're not going to worry about the dentist until you hit a 4 a.m. moment, are you willing to take that risk? And what does that risk look like? Does that mean that you're going to have to cancel a morning appointment because you're in incredible pain? Does it also mean that you might have an emergency? And if you don't have someone to go to, or you can't afford the emergency bill, maybe that's a risk that you ought not to take. And when you think about that, probably go ahead and maybe interview some dentists, or at least get on board, schedule your first inpatient meeting where they take the x-rays and assess you, because that's not a risk that you can afford to take.
I first of all, Stephanie, just FYI, if I had been a girl, I would have been named Stephanie.
Well, there you go.
We're sort of like kindred spirits.
I was going to be Stephen with an
there you go. See,
S-T-E-P-H-E-N. See?
This is like, I don't know what word is. It's fake. I don't want to overstate this. I don't want to it isn't like everything in your business life has to be so categorized.
Exactly.
But I really like the way that the verbiage you use there, risk management, right? I mean, look, how many people listening to this now have some dependence on a website to sell their product?
Me.
Okay. You said that quickly. Me.
Well, what would you do if you went down in the morning to check your website and you got one of these 404 unaccessible errors?
Right.
What are you going to do? Do you know how to get, who's your web person? Or did you just hire somebody to build your site and you have no relationship with one?
Bingo.
That's from a practical standpoint what I'm talking about. And you want to know, look, I got 2 different web people because if one's not available, I'm just being careful. And I know they know my site. I know about what they're going to cost me. And I'm kind of ready. Because it's with that kind of stuff, it's really when, not if. At some point, you're going to have a web issue, right? And there's some things are less important. If I run out of ink in my pen, that's not really going to kill my day. But I'm talking about macro things that
Yeah,
really
absolutely.
deleteriously affect your ability to do business at any given point in time.
Yep,
But,
and
but
getting ahead of that which you can. Yeah, so I think that was my point. I'm really enjoying the
no,
conversation. I
no.
appreciate you having me.
Your point is really good. And it's really the mindset, I think, that I'm trying to project. And then just keep in mind, these 5 structures work synergistically. It's not like if you don't have all 5, you're destined to fail. But everybody's just going to have to trust me on this from me coaching a lot of people, is when all 5 are strong, everything just flows better because you just you don't get bogged down in things.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not a motivational kind of coach. I'm not like a what's the word? A woo-woo kind of coach. I mean, that's not. I'm a nuts and bolts kind of person that way, and the way I coach people. A lot of people I coach have other coaches. They might also have a coach on how to just get pumped up and stay positive. They might have a coach on how to just sell. I can teach people how to sell, but they may have a sales coach as well. So I look at this as kind of getting your physical kind of house in order so you can do your best in the other stuff that happens out there.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, thanks for having me. I'll put myself back in the audience. I'm really enjoying this conversation. Thank you for having me.
Nice to meet you.
Thank you, Stephanie. Appreciate you.
And by the way, I think Stephanie was a little late too, Marley. I'm just joking. It happens to everybody. It happens to the best of us.
Well, you know what? I'm going to tell you from this side of the fence, listening to the two of you, speak all professionally and stuff. It gives me anxiety. And because, it just sounds like so much control. I'm like, I got to have so much control over my life. And it's like, for me personally, I just can't have that kind of control. I got to let go and let God a lot more,
But I'm not. Let me give you a different perspective.
Okay.
Consider this. There is a freedom that evolves when you don't have to worry about things because they're in place and they're running smoothly.
Mm-hmm. Amen.
So what I am suggesting is if you invest time and energy and sometimes finances in getting your structures in place and to the point where they're on autopilot and you really don't have to worry about them anymore. Now you can focus on the things that you would consider pleasurable in your business.
And I hear you say that. It just sounds to me like that's a more seasoned entrepreneur.
Well, it's certainly along the continuum that isn't at exact startup.
Yeah.
But a lot of this stuff, listen, you can't, before a goal, there has to be awareness, right?
Yes.
You have to know that there's something you want to achieve before you can even think to achieve it. So I would like to think that part of the purpose of the workshop I do and the coaching I do and this chapter in the Rich Code is to raise awareness with this in a population. Because I don't know every entrepreneur on earth. And I certainly don't know every author on earth, but I really don't know anybody else who talks about this because it's not exciting. I mean, look, I'm not a boring person, but this is not an exciting topic most of the time. You've been like probably made this more fun than most. But I get interviewed all the time on podcasts, and it's very dry. It's like Ed Morrow. I remember him, like if you're old enough for him, but
no, I don't.
You could Google him. He's like a news reporter from the 50s. He's like Walter Cronkite.
Okay.
But he had this very very like, so Stephen, can you tell us about accountability?
Oh my goodness.
And why it's but that was the style of news at the time. Walter Cronkite was like everybody's uncle. He was a very avuncular, and that's why people trusted. And that was the style of interviewing way back when. But a lot of business podcasts, are kind of like that still now. So you've developed these structures. Which one do you think is the most important? And I can almost picture him like holding a pipe or something and smoking it and like wearing an ascot. I don't know, something, but
yeah. Well, I mean, I don't know. Sometimes it's personality. Sometimes it's a persona that you put on. Just a mask, just for the audience.
Let me give you one last perspective here.
Okay.
I mean, it's almost 2 o'clock, at least where I am. So I don't know if there's a time limit here, but think of this the other way around for a second, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Envision the most successful entrepreneur you know.
Okay.
And you could define that by finances, you could define that by lifestyle, you could define that by freedom of time, you could define that just by their happiness level. But I'm going to bet, whether they did it consciously or not, they've got systems and structures in place that facilitate everything that they do. Now, of course, they didn't get there in one day. They didn't get there in one day. It might have taken them 5, 8 years. I've been in business 27 years.
Mm-hmm.
I'm old.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I'm not telling you I did this overnight. That's why I feel qualified to put myself in a position as somewhat of an expert in this topic. But I had a coach one time who said to me, whenever you have to come on a business decision, ask yourself a question: is what I'm about to do something that somebody who makes $10,000 an hour would do? Because I had told them my goal is to make $10,000 an hour.
Mm-hmm.
And they said, so if you're going to say, should I do A or B? Say to yourself, well, would somebody who's going to make $10,000 an hour do A, or would they do B? Because sometimes you got to look at things, life, business, whatever, through a lens that you're not really at yet. But you have to project yourself to that point so you can make a decision based on that level of energy and not necessarily the level that you're at the present.
Mm-hmm.
And, it's very hypothetical and, metaphysical properly, maybe. But that was, I worked with that coach for 9 months. And that's the only thing I remember from working with them. And they were not cheap. They were expensive.
Mm-hmm.
But I got to tell you, that was fantastic advice I'm giving everybody. That cost me, it cost me about 12 grand in coaching, or maybe more than that, to get that advice. And I'm giving it away here for free. That is the kind of value.
Here, should we give you an applause for that? Somebody applause. I don't know how to do it.
Applause? I don't know. But
there we go.
No, but I'm just saying, it's a mindset. There we go. It's a mindset, right? It's how you view things. And if you don't have a lens to view things through, how do you know if you're making the right decisions or not?
Right.
And I look at setting up these structures not as something that's shackling. I look at it as something that actually, once they're done, the process of doing it is a pain. But once they're done, I find this, and most people I work with are going to agree with me, that it's actually very liberating.
Mm-hmm.
Because now you got all this stuff done. You don't have to worry about it anymore. Although you might have to adjust it and you might have to update it, of course. And now you can just focus on the things that you are good at, that are profitable for you, and that you enjoy.
Mm-hmm.
That's my premise.
So you know what? We do have time. Yay. I want to get a little more clarity on this golden nugget that you gave us, since it cost you so much and you're giving it so graciously here.
Mm-hmm. I'm not saying I literally paid for that. I'm talking about sort of the aggregated coaching. I know. But that's a lot of money. I wasn't rolling the money then, believe me.
Well, you know what? The thing is, when we change our mindset, to somebody who is making that $10,000 an hour or whatever, and it's really about value, and that's money is the only thing that we can connect to, unfortunately, But if we're going to talk about money and we need to have that kind of mindset, it's like the person who makes that kind of money. Do they deal in the riffraff? And you have to be able to discern what is riffraff and walk away. Don't put a toe in it.
Totally agree. And by riffraff, I don't think we mean necessarily bad people, just people that aren't good for you.
Drama.
Yeah.
Right? When it's unnecessary.
You know what's really hard, Marley, is for a starting up entrepreneur to turn down work.
Yes.
Like you got nothing coming. You got one client and you're making $100 a day or less. And somebody calls you up and goes, yeah, I want to hire you to do whatever. And you're like, okay, let's talk about it. And it turns out you just get this vibe immediately. This person's going to be a pain in the rump. They're going to be demanding. They might not even pay me on time. They're going to be They're going to be an energy suck on me, but I really need the money. And it's hard. It's hard to walk away from that. But in the long run, man, it is so draining when you get a client that just doesn't appreciate you and just, is always wanting more and more and more and hassling you. So you say, hey, you owe me whatever for this week or this month. Oh, well, I'm a little short. My daughter's,
Right.
chipped her nail and I had to go to nails, whatever. It's always an excuse. Oh, I ran out of checks.
You're right.
My Venmo got corrupted.
Right. But in those moments of being a beginner, you're just stepping out to be an entrepreneur and you have those kind of clients that you're describing, that's an opportunity for us to develop our diplomacy.
Mm-hmm.
Right? We get better at it. And then when we have that diplomacy and grace and our discernment kicks in, then you can be like, it's not a good match. I'm not going to take the $100.
You do this every episode. You turn everything into a life lesson. It's a beautiful thing.
Thank you. Well, my whole thing is about love. It doesn't matter what we're talking about. If it's, business.
Well, let's throw this out. Let's throw this out to the participants here. How many people really love their business? I see some claps. I see some thumbs up.
Yeah, but those are all, there we go. Okay.
Oh, so I got a heart. You got a couple hearts here. You can't see everybody at once here. Let's see.
Mhm.
Okay. How many people love every single minutia aspect of their business? And be honest. Right? You see the difference?
Yeah. How can anybody say that?
Well, nobody probably can if they're being honest.
Mm-hmm.
So how do we offload the things we don't enjoy? Hire other people or delegate.
Mm-hmm.
Or part of it is you get it and you put it on autopilot.
Mm.
Think about that, right?
Right.
So I hate the fact that my office stinks. I don't have any lights. My kids are screaming and yelling. My husband's hassling me. Well, change it. Get something. You can shut the door. Whatever it is. And I'm not saying it's always easy, but neither is being an entrepreneur. And that's the space I think I see my role in this giant bundle of whatever of entrepreneurship. So, because I'm an entrepreneur, I'm an entrepreneur that supports entrepreneurs.
Right.
Sort of an interesting.
What I hear you saying though, it seems like, okay, well, that's simple enough. I'm gonna get help, whatever. But sometimes we don't understand, like even where to start. And while you were describing that, it reminded me of this woman, and I can't remember her name, but she's on YouTube and she's the organizer, and she goes into people's houses and she organizes everything for them, and she knows what to throw out, what to keep, and her, rationale, why keep it, et cetera, et cetera.
Mm-hmm.
And, while those of us with our own expertise are able to do that. But for people who don't have an idea of like, oh, I didn't know I needed that.
Can I plug something?
Yes.
Okay. Anybody that doesn't know where to start, or even if they started and not sure where to go next, if you want to go to my site, okay, which is called the Entrepreneur Cafe, okay, THEentrepreneurcafe.net. And depending on how you're looking at it, but the first thing you'll see is like a cup of coffee kind of. But if you scroll down, there's a white bar that says, "Are you ready to be an entrepreneur?" And then there's a hot link to take a poll.
Okay.
And it's a little heavy. I mean, it'll take you about 10 minutes to do. It's a little bit of effort. But the first place you should start anything is assessing where you are presently.
Right. Okay, wait, I'm going to put it on here. Theentrepreneur.net. What is it?
No, the Entrepreneur Cafe.
Cafe. I'm sorry. Okay.
Entrepreneur Cafe. That's the name of the business that I do all this in. The entrepreneurcafe.net.
Okay.
I think .com goes there too, but I like .net because all my other sites were .net.
Okay.
So if anybody wants to, and this is free, no obligation. I mean, obviously there's a little teaser at the end offering you a consult, which is also free. But go there, take the survey. I think it'll give people everybody comes out with some clarity. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to say it's going to be epiphany level, mm-hmm. but it'll help you, because you asked a great question. Where do you start? Mm-hmm. And the answer is you got to start where you are, but you have to figure out where your strengths and weaknesses are. And there's a lot of psychology in this survey. Don't get scared. There's a lot of psychology, and I designed this specifically to people to think about exactly what they need to do to upgrade their experience. So
Like it. So, okay. So start where you are. What does that mean?
I mean, you got to be honest with yourself, right? You meaning you, the entrepreneur, are have the skill set that you have at this point in time,
Yeah.
and you're going to be better at some things in 6 months than you are now, but you could be way better at them if you consciously decide that you need to work on things and you're willing to invest some time and maybe some professional counsel on how to improve them. So if
Yes.
you know, hey, I'm okay at sales, but I could be better, invest in a sales course or a sales coach. And
Oh,
or if, your structures aren't so good and you want to invest in somebody to help you get them going. It mentoring, when done right, can really accelerate your success.
but what I find is, it's like start where you're at. Most people where they're at, they can't afford to have the mentoring and they can't afford to have somebody tell them the structure. Start where you're at is no, stop thinking if only I had the big office, if only I had a quiet space and you know what I mean, the right equipment, etc. No, put your headphones in and get busy. It's like just do it. That's all you can afford is your headphones and do it.
You're 100% right.
Yeah. It's like, so what? Okay, you don't have an office. Start where you're at. You don't have a room. Do you have a closet? Start where you're at. If you
Because look,
really want to
nobody's
do
going to
it.
feel sorry for you. Nobody's going to say, "Oh, I'm going to hire you because you don't have an office and I feel bad for you." That doesn't happen.
No.
I mean, maybe your friend might, your neighbors might, or something. But
No, because you're the quality. If no matter where you
yeah,
go, there you are.
well, yeah, no, These are all so simple that sometimes people forget them.
hmm
Hmm.
Right. We lose sight for sure.
I'm even
And we
thinking.
get intimidated
I'm
by
even thinking.
others.
Right now, I'm contemplating. Why am I here? Now, the look. I think in any given day, you are got balancing different priorities, right? You're balancing serving your clients, you're balancing getting new clients, you're balancing whatever you got going on in your personal, your family life, whatever. And I think part of my concept of structures is to be able to maximize what you're doing when you're within each of these compartments. So when you're in your entrepreneur mode, even if that's only 2 hours a day or even 10 minutes a day, you want to be able to squeeze the most out of those 10 minutes as you can.
hmm
You see what I mean? And to me, the best way to do that is to have all your stuff, your accountability, your operations, your support, your time management, all that in place. So when you flip the switch, hey, I'm in entrepreneur mode now. I'm not in mommy mode or daddy mode or whatever, gym person mode or,
So true.
pickleball with my friends mode. I'm now in
Right.
entrepreneur mode.
But okay, so here's the thing too though. If you have to have all those structures in place so when, inspiration hits or whatever, that's your time. But if you're going 100 miles an hour, trying to cook dinner and, whatever else, it's like, and then it's like, well, wait a minute, it's 6 o'clock. This is my time. You have to slow down. You got to just stop that wheel from turning and then get into, your entrepreneur mode. If you don't have a plan, if you didn't think this is what I have to accomplish today, this is all I have to do, this one thing. And now my 2 hours came and I'm going to get that one thing done. That's when you're going to start to move the needle.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, you're going to spend that 2 hours going, okay, what do I have to do again? What do I have to do? And you're going to be running in circles.
Well, yeah. Now, that's why nothing happens in a vacuum. And that's why you want to be prepared when you can have that time.
Yes. Very good. Very good, Dr. Stephen Greene. Thank you so much for showing up. And, I am so glad that I held the line open. And
Yeah, me too.
yeah, I just,
I would have been forever known as the guy who didn't show up.
you know, normally I don't hold the line open. I would have just canceled the show and, we would have rescheduled or something. But,
And I'm really serious. I couldn't figure out how to get on. I could hear you, and
huh.
I'm pushing, like tapping on my phone. There's nothing that says like enter show or something. Maybe I just missed it.
You know what? Honestly, I don't know.
Yeah, it doesn't matter
It
now.
doesn't matter.
I'm going to react here. There we go. React.
Okay, do the reaction.
There we go.
There we go. All right. Well, now you're on the platform and it's open to you. So anytime you wanted to come on here, have your own show and give us, some more words of wisdom.
I could have the 5 structures show.
You could.
Well, actually, it would be the Entrepreneur Cafe.
There we go. Yeah, this is, that's right. We can get all of our co-authors over here and giving these nuggets, and then everybody go over to Cracking the Rich Code community, because we're all going to be there giving a lot of good information.
Yeah, that community is it is really good, and it's just getting better as more and more people contribute.
Right. Mm-hmm.
That is especially if you're an entrepreneur, because you're talk about trying to emulate people who are already there.
Yeah.
There is between the 7 or 8 books. The 7 books are already out, 6 already out. One more almost there, and a couple more in the pipeline. There is a huge amount of talent.
Huge. I think we're up to 160 co-authors now. And, everybody just has their expertise, because
and these aren't like lightweight people nobody's ever heard of.
That's right.
There's some I'm a nobody in terms of some of these people, but there's some names in there, the co-authors that are well known, international kind of people.
Mm-hmm.
So and it's free. That's the best thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, get on that site. And what I love about it is there's nothing that's going to, you're just going to scroll past with memes and, just stuff that's, it's basically the poster saying, here, yeah, I agree with this. Here, I agree with this. Here, it's no value from themselves. These are all co-authors that are giving you their nuggets. And that's a whole university education.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. So we're about to launch, people. Come on over. I'll let you know. I'll let everybody know when we're ready, and come on over to the.
Yeah, it's kind of in double beta squared right now. It's in whatever the absolute last stage of beta is. It's just right now.
Mm-hmm. But I like it. So again, I appreciate it. I'm glad you figured out the technology. I think it worked out divinely. I really do. It was a great conversation. And Stephanie, thank you for coming up. And
I like this reacting thing. I got to play with this.
Right? Fireside is so cool. It is so cool. Yeah. There we go.
Yeah, I appreciate everybody listening. So
yes, exactly.
I hope some of you will take the survey. It's good. And
yeah, I'm gonna check it out.
Reach out. Does my email or something here? If people want to reach me.
Yeah, say it. I can change. I put the entrepreneurcafe.net, but I can change that.
They can go there and no, leave it there.
Okay.
They can go there because there's contact forms and all there if they want.
Okay.
I don't want to be pushy about it, but I'd love to just to talk. I love meeting people. If I'm busy, I push people off, but I got blocks of time.
Okay, well, I'm not joking about Fireside. You can come on here and you can create your own show, and whenever you have time.
I'm gonna do that. I like this. It's kind of like podcasting without recording it.
Well, it is recording, and then it gets distributed everywhere.
No, then it's kind of like podcasting.
Right. You're actually live here on Fireside and on YouTube and Facebook.
So can you? I don't want to hold people up. Can you record this and then repurpose it? Could I record this and then take the recording and put it in my podcast?
I'm going to send it to you.
Ooh. Yeah. Is that okay? Are you okay if I repurpose it that way?
Absolutely, 100%.
You could be episode 160. My next episode is 160.
Hey, we're here to serve, so I would be honored to be in that.
I'm excited. I'm not even using the emoji. I'm just clapping.
All right, good. All right. Well, we had fun here today, yeah?
We did. It was good. Mm-hmm. I'd love to get you on my show. How about this, folks? I would like to have Merle be my first guest when I set up the Entrepreneur Cafe Fireside show.
Yay! Yes.
There we go. All right, now we're really feeling the need for love.
Yeah, now we're hot. Yes, I'm going to be your first guest, and I would be honored. Thank you.
I'm going to write this down. In fact, I'm going to write it in ink.
Okay. Ooh.
My to-do list here. See, my efficiency here. Set up Fireside show.
Accountability.
That's right. First guest.
I love it.
Your name kind of ILEE. Is it 2 L's or 1?
1.
2 R's, 1 L.
That's right.
Got it.
That's right. No, I'm excited. That is
You know,
great.
I know that 'cause I had to type your name into an email like 7 times.
Yeah. Okay, good. And then, and Stephanie has her own show, and Deanna, and everybody,
Yeah.
you actually follow everybody here.
You
When
follow people. You click on them and then
Yeah, you just follow everybody, and then when they have their own show, you can go on and you can talk all that serious stuff with
yeah.
Stephanie.
We weren't that serious.
You guys were like totally equally yoked in your conversation.
We'll
I
get
love it.
Stephanie. We'll show her.
Yeah. No, I love it.
All right. Actually, I do have to run. I got a client in 10 minutes. So,
All right, dear. Thank you
Marilyn,
so much.
thanks again. You're doing great work here, and you're showcasing some really talented people.
Yay. Thank you,
I
Stephen.
appreciate the invite and all the. Thanks again.
Okay, I appreciate you. I'll talk to you
You have to
soon.
hang up. I didn't know whatever. Here we go.
Okay, here, I'll get you down. Let's see. Remove. There we go. It was Dr. Stephen Greene. Wasn't that fun? It's so fun when we all join it. Yes. And just get real. Just get real. It's all about relationships. It's all about relationship people, whatever it is. I don't care if it's money or love or anything else. We have to know how to talk to each other and love on each other and lift each other up. So this is another episode of Cracking the Rich Code. Tonight I'll be back for Equally Yoked at 7:00. And if you maybe are interested, yeah. If you're interested in becoming a co-author in Cracking the Rich Code, get a hold of me. Email me at marilee@therichcodeclub.com. I didn't put that in there because this is Stephen's, theentrepreneur.cafe.net, but still, marilee@therichcodeclub.com. And we'll get you in there talking to Jim Britt. Jim Britt's pretty awesome. So, all right. I love you all. Have a wonderful day, and I'll see you tonight. Let's see. I don't know how to put the bot on. Here we go. There.